Okay, so it's time for us to continue our coverage over the Hulk, but also kind of continue our coverage over Rhino as well. Let me explain. You see, a while back, we had covered a story arc where you had the Hulk fight against Rhino for the first time ever in Marvel Comics. And let me explain why. See, when it came to Rhino, after he first appeared over in Amazing Spider-Man, well, after that story arc, he was not really in Spider-Man comics for a good while. Matter of fact, he became more of a Hulk villain rather than a Spider-Man villain. And so we already covered the first time you had the Hulk fight against Rhino. And that battle was pretty interesting. But now it's time for Rhino to come back once again for round two. Except this time, when Rhino comes back for round two, he's actually ruining the wedding of Bruce Banner and Betty Ross. It makes for one heck of a story, but also kind of sad for Betty. Now, I kind of want to talk a tad bit about some things going on around this time in Marvel Comics when it came to the Hulk. You see, for Reed Richards, he was able to actually create a cure for the Hulk, really Bruce Banner, saying that, listen, with this cure, you will be able to control your Hulk side. And for Bruce, that was great because after he found out that he will now have full control of his Hulk side, he said, you know what? I will no longer turn into the Hulk. And right after he had declared that, he had proposed to Betty Ross. And they said, hey, you know what? Let's go ahead and get married quickly before anything else happens that could ruin our future wedding. Now, word got out very quickly that Bruce was going to marry Betty Ross. But word also got out very quickly that, hey, Bruce Banner is no longer the Hulk. And that word got all the way over to the leader. Now, for the leader, he's very upset about the idea that Bruce Banner is no longer going to be the Hulk. Now, I feel like this is our first time actually talking about the leader on my channel. The leader first appeared in Tales of Astonish issue number 62 all the way back in 1964. Now, when it came to the leader, he was a high school dropout, and really his parents, his entire family did not really like him that much because, well, he wasn't as intelligent as the rest of the family. Now, when it came to the leader, he found a container that had a huge chunk of gamma radiation inside of it. And, well, a good chunk of that radiation got onto him. Now, when it did, besides killing him, it did evolve him, made him more intelligent. And also his head got, well, a tad bit bigger. Either way, for the leader, he has been a Hulk villain for a very long time in Marvel Comics. Now, for the leader, he's not really happy about the idea of Bruce Banner no longer being the Hulk, because over the years of Hulk comics, the Hulk has always stopped the leader. And for the leader, he was always trying his best to find a way to get rid of the Hulk. And so for him to hear like, hey guys, Bruce Banner is no longer going to be the Hulk, for the leader, that's not cool at all because he wants to kill off Bruce Banner. He wants to kill off the Hulk. But the problem is Bruce is now an easy target. And for the leader, it's not as satisfying than fighting against the Hulk and finding a way to actually kill the Hulk. Because now you are talking about the idea of killing someone without an actual challenge. And so for the leader, his main goal is to find a way to bring the Hulk back out, the Savage Hulk, but to also find a way to kill off the Hulk. And so you have the leader sit down and begin to think of different ways that he could possibly kill off the Hulk. Now, for the leader, he begins to think about the different characters the Hulk has fought over the years by this point in Marvel Comics. So like the Sandman, Namor, the Mandarin, Maximus. But he realized that none of those characters were actually able to get really close into defeating the Hulk, except for one person. and that would be the Rhino. Now, when it came to Hulk and Rhino's battle, it was very intense. It did seem like maybe the Rhino might have a way to defeat the Hulk, except the battle ended with Rhino getting seriously burned and also getting, well, seriously injured, to the point where, to the Hulk, he thought the Rhino had died, and the Hulk just walked away. But you have the leader tell us, no, the Rhino did not die that day. Matter of fact, he survived, but just barely. And so for the leader, he now knows if he wants to be able to take down the Hulk, get the one person who had almost accomplished that goal, the Rhino. Now, I want to jump over to General Ross. And the reason why, because when it came to Hulk comics, we always know that the main bad guy for the Hulk was always Ross. I feel like even if you did not read comics, all you did just watch the Hulk TV show or play the Hulk games, you would know that most of the time, the main bad guy for the Hulk would be Ross, because Ross felt like it was up to him in the military to bring down Bruce Banner. But now with the word being out there that Bruce is no longer going to be the Hulk, and also he's going to marry Ross' daughter, Betty Ross, for General Ross, he's all like, you know what? Listen, I felt like over the years, you and I have been like the worst kind of enemies. But now I realize that you are able to make my daughter happy. And that's what I love the most about you. But also, now with the Hulk being put in the past, we can now focus on the most important thing in both of our lives. And that would be Betty Ross. And so it's General Ross giving Bruce his blessings. Say, hey, man, if you want to marry my daughter, go ahead and do it. But I have one request. You have to marry her in the house she grew up in. But while you have that going on, when we jump back over to the leader, we see that he has sent over a robot to break into the prison to grab the Rhino. Now, the Rhino has been unconscious ever since the last battle he had against the Hulk. And so for the guards, they're kind of wondering like, hey, should we be worried for the Rhino? Because Homeboy has been completely knocked out ever since he fought against the Hulk. And some giant robot just broke into the prison and took him away. But you have some guards all like, hey, I get it that you're worried, but like, what in the world could we have done to that robot? You saw us try to shoot at it and nothing worked on it at all. Like, listen, the Rhino's gone. It sucks. Who cares? We have to move on with our lives. Now, something I also want to talk about is Rhino's powers. You see, for the Rhino, he was able to gain his powers by going through a series of gamma radiation treatments. And because of those treatments, it turned him into the character we all know and love in today's comics. Now, for Rhino, like I said earlier, he has been unconscious ever since his last battle against the Hulk. And so for the leader, one of his many powers that he has is that he is able to send out mental bolts of gamma radiation over to other people. And so for the leader, he realized that if he's able to send over mental bolts of gamma radiation over to the Rhino, it should help revive the Rhino back to his full strength, but also kind of making Rhino a tad bit stronger than he was the last time he fought against the Hulk by giving Rhino another gamma radiation treatment. And so after going through the entire process, bam, the Rhino is back up again. Now for the Rhino, he's now realizing that he's been out cold for a good few months, possibly years really. Either way, the last thing he does remember was losing to the Hulk. And so once you have the leader hand Rhino his Rhino suit, bam, he is ready to go find the Hulk and get ready for round two, because he feels like that he is so much stronger that he should be able to actually defeat the Hulk. But now it's time for us to jump over to the big day. Betty Ross marrying Bruce Banner. It's going to be a great wedding. Wrong. Because you have the leader and Rhino drive up in a vehicle. Now inside his vehicle, the leader has a device that he wants to use on Bruce Banner. This device will turn Bruce Banner back into the Savage Hulk once again. Now for the leader, he does want Rhino to fight against the Hulk. But before the Rhino can do that, the leader leader wants to make sure that Bruce goes back into his savage Hulk form, but more savage than he was in the past, to kind of have the Hulk kill off somebody who's at the wedding, maybe like Betty Ross or possibly Thunderbolt Ross. Either way, while you have the actual ceremony going on, the leader shoots his device at Bruce Banner. And just like that, the Savage Hulk is out. Now, for the leader, he needs to shoot another shot at Bruce to make sure he becomes really savage enough to kill someone in the actual building. But the problem is, the Rhino can no longer wait anymore. This man wants to battle against the Hulk right at this exact moment. And so now you have the two characters battling against each other. Now, unfortunately, this battle is very short-lived because while you have the Rhino trying to fight against the Hulk, you do have the two characters go back for a while. But then out of nowhere, you have the leader shoot the Rhino. Now, for the leader, he was not really trying to shoot Rhino. For the leader, he was trying to shoot the Hulk. But because Rhino got in the way and took the shot on accident, well, for the Rhino, he believed the leader did it on purpose. And so you have Rhino say, hey, Hulk, listen, our battle's going to stop for right now. For right now, I need to deal with the leader because this man shot me. And so you have the Rhino begin to charge towards the leader, trying to get revenge for, well, taking a shot at him. Now, the last page of the book, it really does wrap everything up very quickly here because we do pick up with the leader trying to fly away in an aircraft that he had brought with him. The problem is the Rhino was able to jump onto the aircraft in time and actually cause enough damage where it does blow up in the sky. So we're kind of left to believe that the leader and Rhino are both currently dead. Now, for the Hulk, he says, well, I guess there's no enemies around. It's time for me to go ahead and leave. And so he dips out. Now, at the tail end of the last page, we do see that somebody did get hurt. It was Thunderbolt Ross. And it does seem like he might possibly die. And so at the tail end of this page, we see Betty Ross crying because one, her wedding was ruined. Two, Bruce turned to the Hulk and dipped out. And three, her father may actually die. And so you have Major Glenn Talbot tell Betty Ross that he will do everything in his power to bring the Hulk down. And so this is where the book actually ends. So yeah, the Rhino and the leader were two people who had ruined the wedding for Bruce Banner and Betty Ross. It is truly messed up. But either way, this is where we are going to end today's comic book video. So please leave me a like down below and subscribe. But guys, see y'all next time. Later.